Deep in the heart of Bolivia, Parker Schnabel stood at the edge of what locals claimed was one of the country's most productive gold mines. The harsh South American sun beat down mercilessly as he surveyed the rugged landscape. This wasn't the frozen Yukon he knew so well. This was an entirely different beast with its own rules, methods, and challenges. The journey to this remote cooperative mine had been difficult, at best arduous. Narrow mountain roads with dizzying drops, language barriers at every turn, and the constant awareness that he was an outsider in territory where mining methods hadn't changed in generations. Still, Parker was driven by curiosity and opportunity. If the rumors were true, this mine could reveal techniques or partnerships worth their weight in gold. The day started with some friendly banter with the local miners, who claimed that there was a lot wrong with Parker. His parking skills, his loading abilities, and his lack of emotion when it comes to work. Parker, being the charismatic man he is, laughed it off and continued with his work. Parker brushed off the criticism with practiced ease. The only part of that I'd agree with is I could have spent more time to get level, but I didn't want to keep the truck waiting. His tone made it clear they were here for gold, not perfect parking. Laughter. There were 32 miners at the scene, and while they worked around with their camera equipment trying to get the perfect shot, it almost felt like they were in their way. But alas, the real goal here was to mine some gold, although even that came with surprises of its own. As they moved deeper into the operation, Parker's trained eye began noticing discrepancies between what they were being told and what the evidence suggested. The cooperative leaders had claimed production figures that didn't align with the scale of their workings. When we first turned up, these guys said that they were taking half a kilo a month. Parker remarked skeptically to Dan, his cameraman, and Tyler, which doesn't make a lot of sense based on their own workings. The weathered tracks in the earth, the volume of material being processed, the number of workers, it all pointed to a different story than the one they'd been told. The crew suspects the true figure should be 4 times what they've been told, Parker muttered, making mental calculations. If they're right, it could be a lucrative investment opportunity. His mind raced with possibilities. If this cooperative was truly producing 2 kilos of gold monthly, rather than the half kilo they reported, partnering with them and bringing in modern equipment and efficient processing methods could transform both their operation and his own business portfolio. Oh wow, oh yes, it's made of wood. The cooperative uses a wooden gravimetric gold table similar to Parker's in the Yukon. Let's have a look, Parker said, gesturing toward the processing area where the day's concentrate was being separated. What they found stopped them in their tracks. Oh wow, Parker breathed, eyes widening at the primitive but ingenious setup before them. Oh yes, it's made of wood. In the heart of Bolivia, Parker discovers a cooperative using a wooden gravimetric gold table similar to his Yukon setup, though far more primitive. Despite his initial skepticism, he's fascinated by the centuries-old approach to separating gold from dirt. That's cool, Parker remarks, his fingers tracing the weathered wooden sill. Working with his crew, he calculates the operation's throughput. There's about 15 yards in each dump truck, 60 yards an hour. Then we've got it. Their attention shifts to the miners' use of mercury, a practice largely abandoned in North America. Dan watches uncomfortably as a miner handles the silvery liquid with bare hands. Always freaks me out when they just touch mercury like that, he comments. Touching is the least dangerous, but even when you're touching, it's still accumulating. Over time, it's not good, Tyler explains. Despite her environmental concerns, Tyler acknowledges their efforts. These guys are making the best effort possible to do it the safest way they've got. The Bolivian miners work methodically with their retort system, which Tyler notes allows you to recycle the mercury and keeps it more contained. As 960 yards of dirt complete processing, Dan's anticipation peaks. Magic's happening in there now. This is exciting, he says. As they prepare to weigh the recovered gold to consider investing, Parker needs to see at least 90, The cooperative leader begins
50,
the count. More than 70, more than 80, more than 90 when the final tally reveals just 97.9 grams, 3.2 ounces, worth $5,440. Disappointment crosses Parker's face. It's only a third of his target. Is that a standard result? Parker asks. When told it's not bad, Parker's frankness emerges. I'm complaining. It's bad. Always thinking of improvements. He suggests they could increase recovery from 70% to 85% by modifying their sleep box. The cooperative members nod politely, but Parker senses they're not eager to change their traditional methods. Later, discussing the operation with Rick, Parker concludes 32 owners for an ounce per 300 yards of ground is not what we're here for. We'll keep moving. When it comes to the whole cooperative model, Parker reflects, I'm not a very cooperative person. I'd really struggle with that. Despite this setback, his determination remains unshaken. We'll find something. Once they had some privacy, Parker and Rick begin crunching the numbers. Okay, and we've got all the numbers now. We know the gold weight. We can do some math. Tyler suggests it's going to be like an ounce per 300 and something yards. That's shitty, Parker calculates. However, Parker tried to look on the bright side. But yeah, I think that they've had some really good weeks or months over the years, and that's been able to, pay for equipment and stuff like that. And then now they can kind of get by. Yeah, it's a shame, Parker continued. But the biggest issue is that there are, 32 owners here too? Yeah, 32. Dan confirmed 32 owners for an ounce per 200 or 300 yards of ground is not what we're here for, so we'll keep moving. Despite the disappointing results, Parker managed to smile. Well, good job. Good investigating, Ty. We got there in the end. As they packed up to leave the cooperative, Parker reflected on what they'd learned. This venture hadn't yielded the partnership opportunity he'd hoped for, but it had provided valuable insights about mining in this part of the world. I think this was definitely an introduction to Bolivia. Tyler summarized, I've never seen a mine site before that has 32 owners, but after running the numbers, I just don't think it's a place for Parker, and I can totally understand why. It has to be a tens of thousands of ounces kind of project. Parker nodded in agreement. Right. If you're going to go to the other side of the planet, he let the sentence hang, the implication clear. The reward had to justify the immense effort of international operations. When it comes to the whole cooperative model, Parker added with characteristic frankness, I'm not a very cooperative person, so I think I'd really struggle with that. The disappointment was evident, but so was the determination. Bolivia might not have yielded the mother lode they'd hoped for, but the journey was far from over. Other opportunities awaited, perhaps just around the next bend or over the next mountain. We'll find something, Parker said confidently, his eyes already looking toward the horizon. The Bolivian sunset behind them as they departed cast long shadows across the ancient mining operation. A place where centuries-old techniques persisted despite the march of technology for Parker. It was a reminder that gold mining was as much about cultural understanding as it was about extraction methods. This particular site might not have been the right fit, but somewhere in this gold-rich country the next big opportunity awaited, and Parker Schnabel would be ready when he found it. The camera faded to black, but Parker's quest for gold, spanning continents and crossing cultures, continued on.